In any case, Mr. Papagiannidis, I don't have enough time because I have to go back to my office and announce some expansionary fiscal measures in order to capture the second wave of the pandemic.
There you are, and these expansion measures are going to be very interesting, I understand. So shoot.
But first of all, unfortunately, the conference, the very interesting and important conference, coincides with the Prime Minister's announcements of new restrictive measures in society and the economy. Thus, I have to follow in a while and present a package of measures of an amount of 3.3 billion euros to maintain and strengthen the safety net for employees and employers. Thus, I will attend the conference for a while. However, I would like to thank the Federation of Industries of Greece for organizing this Thessaloniki Summit 2020. Our discussion is taking place in a period of high uncertainty, due mainly to the coronavirus pandemic, an exogenous shock with its current second phase of the crisis, leading to the shrinking of the European economies at a precedented rhythm. Unavoidable, the same happens for the Greek economy. Nevertheless, until now, it has depicted the Greek economy with remarkable resilience. If you have a comparison of the recession in the first half of the year, or of what will be announced today by the European Commission regarding its estimations for the European economies, the economies of the member states in Europe for 2020, you will see that we have converged our estimations. The European estimation is for a recession of around 9%, which is not the deepest in Europe for 2020, contrary to what they predicted 6 months ago. This is due to the fact that we have taken timely, comprehensive, and targeted and dynamic package of measures, of policy measures, to support public health, employment, business liquidity, and social cohesion. We implement fiscal and non-fiscal measures. Of what size? Around 24 billion euros. You have to add on that amount of money what will be presented today of around 3.3 billion euros. All these measures, new measures, or extending current measures regarding special compensations, suspension of payments of VAT, the rents, the refundable advance payment, the fourth and the fifth cycle of that measure, all of them count to 3.3 billion euros. All these are financed by the neat and prudent management of the country's cash reserves. Cash reserves which currently stand at 37.5 billion euros and which have been significantly strengthened over the last year through 7 successful debt issuances of a total amount of 16 billion euros. This means that half of cash reserves have been created over the last year. The highlight was the most recent 15-year GGB issuance at the lowest borrowing cost ever for the country. This is due also to what ECB has been decided the previous month regarding a relaxation of the monetary policy. At the same time, this has to do with how we are going to tackle and how we tackle the economic consequences of the COVID-19 outbreak. But at the same time, amid the crisis, we proceeded with the implementation of important structural reforms. Indicatively, tax measures and incentives for investment will strengthen the growth potential of the Greek economy were introduced. The institutional framework for corporate governance has been upgraded and modernized. The framework for microfinance has been enacted. The asset development plan has been boosted. Plans to enhance the sustainability of companies such as Elvo, Skaramagas Shipyards, EAV, LICO have been put into action. And as mentioned in the 7th Enhanced Surveillance Report, good progress has also been made in the investment license reform, the energy policy, public administration, and the digital transformation. Let me stress that during the last 3 weeks, despite the outbreak of the pandemic, first of all, with a lot of turbulences in the parliament, the new insolvency law was voted. It introduces a unified code for restructuring and bankruptcy of individual and corporate debt for the first time in the country's history. Second, Hercules, the asset protection scheme for the reduction of NPLs, continued to be deployed by systematic banks, most of which have already adopted the scheme. It operates effectively, while banks maintain satisfactory liquidity levels. Third, a proposal brought forward by the Bank of Greece, which aims to address simultaneously the stock of NPEs and DTC, is being reviewed. The proposal will be assessed in terms of cost-benefit analysis for the Hellenic Republic and the financial stability, and should also be approved by all relevant stakeholders. Fourth, the fifth directive on combating money laundering and terrorist financing, we discussed it yesterday at the ECOFIN meeting, was incorporated into the national law. Fifth, significant work has been done in the Ikon project, progressing on legal backdrop for land partition, and moreover, the Gaming Authority announced the preferred bidder, paving the way for the award of the casino license. Fifth, 5 interested parties submitted expression of interest for the Kavala Port Authority, 4 parties for the Alexandroupoli Port Authorities, and if I remember well, 9 or 10 for the Igoumenitsa Port Authority. Consequently, despite the difficult circumstances, we have made good use of time in order to speed up reforms aiming at ensuring a solid base for recovery. Nevertheless, we do not turn a blind eye, nor are we celebrating. We are fully aware of the fact that the Greek economy, as Chris mentioned before, continues to face significant challenges related both to continued medical uncertainty and to pre-existing legacy problems. We're working prudently and methodically to overcome difficulties, to successfully tackle the health crisis, population movement, geopolitical turbulences, the return of the economy to the pre-crisis level the soonest possible, to take advantage with prudence of the fiscal flexibility which will continue to exist at least for 2021, and of course, to make the best use of the available European funds through the implementation of our national recovery and resilience plan. Greece is expected to receive through this facility about 19 billion euros in grants, while it can also receive an additional 12.7 billion euros in loans, up to 2026. The National Recovery and Resilience Plan will be the springboard to reorient the Greek economy to a new production model and thus to achieve high, sustainable, clever, and social fair growth. It poses a unique opportunity for Greece to boost economic activity through both investments and reforms that will have a prolonged and sustainable impact on the country's long-term economic outlook. And in order to conclude, to achieve these objectives, we have ambitious plans for the period ahead, and we want to make the best use, as I mentioned before, of these funds. In our national recovery plan, among others, we will include the implementation of a prudent fiscal policy with a gradual reduction of tax rates and social contributions, the strengthening of the banking system, including the reduction of non-performing loans, the continuation of the privatization program, as well as the exploitation of public property, the digital transformation of the public sector, the simplification of the licensing procedures and the reduction of the bureaucratic burden, the implementation of structural reforms concerning the regulatory framework for businesses, the promotion of investments, emphasizing on the development of infrastructure, on digital technologies, on the industry stimulation, on the stimulation of endogenous sources of development, such as education, research and innovation, on the green economy. Among other areas, Greece plans major investments in areas including efficient use of energy, networks upgrading, renewables, recycling, waste management, protection and enhancement of natural environment and biodiversity. Such investment will underpin sustainable growth and job creation in ways that protect environment and social cohesion. Thank you very much.
First of all, in introducing to our discussion the notion of neat and prudent management, a notion that is not very easily understood in Greece, which is natural because following 10 years of extreme social and economic pressure, prudence is not something you pray for, but you have to manage in a prudent way so as to have a future. Second, thanks to Christos Stαϊκouras for introducing also to our discussion the political dimension, for referring even in a very prudent way to the geopolitical realities our country is having to face. And as a last comment, may I wish to him the best of luck with the services that have been created very close to his portfolio, so as to practically and not theoretically manage the possibilities given by the next generation EU funding. This is going to be a Herculean task, of which much discussion has to follow in the very next weeks and months. And now I will turn to Simos Anastasopoulos, let's say closer to the private sector, to see what the private sector hears and feels in this situation. Simos Anastasopoulos, we have met with the Hellenic American